The locals of Cedar Hollow spoke in hushed tones about the house deep in the woods. They called it the Hollow House, a decaying structure hidden behind gnarled trees and an overgrown path. Stories of strange lights, eerie noises, and people who entered but never came back surrounded it like a dark legend. For adventurer and urban explorer Tessa Moore, the stories were irresistible. Her YouTube channel, Abandoned Echoes, thrived on unraveling mysteries, and the Hollow House was her next conquest. Armed with a camera, flashlight, and recorder, Tessa set out late one afternoon, determined to document her findings. The woods grew darker as Tessa followed the winding trail, the canopy overhead blotting out the sun. The air was unnaturally still, as if even the animals avoided this place. Her boots crunched on the leaf-strewn ground, each step echoing in the silence. When the house finally came into view, her breath caught in her throat. The Hollow House stood like a forgotten relic, its wooden boards warped and its windows shattered. Vines crawled up its sides, and the roof sagged as if the structure was bowing to some unseen weight. Despite its decrepit state, the house seemed to pulse with a sinister presence. "Well," Tessa muttered, turning on her camera, "time to see what all the fuss is about." The front door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit foyer. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by her flashlight. The walls were lined with peeling wallpaper, and the faint smell of mildew mixed with something metallic. Tessa narrated her observations for the camera, her voice steady despite the goosebumps prickling her skin. She moved cautiously from room to room, finding nothing but broken furniture and forgotten belongings. In the living room, she discovered a strange symbol carved into the floorboards, a circle with jagged lines radiating outward. Her recorder picked up faint whispers when she approached it, though no words were discernible. "This is unsettling," she admitted, glancing nervously at the doorway. As Tessa climbed the creaking staircase, the air grew colder. The second floor was worse than the first, with gaping holes in the walls and floors that groaned under her weight. She found an old bedroom, its bed frame rusted and mattress torn. Just as she turned to leave, a loud thump echoed from the hallway. Tessa froze, her heart pounding. Slowly, she stepped into the corridor, her flashlight trembling in her hand. "Hello?" she called out, her voice cracking. The silence that followed was deafening. She lowered her camera, reviewing the footage. Her eyes widened as she watched. Behind her, a shadow moved across the screen, though no one had been there. Determined to capture more evidence, Tessa ventured into the attic. The hatch door was stuck, but after several tugs, it gave way with a groan. She climbed the ladder, stepping into the dark, cramped space. The attic was filled with old trunks and broken toys. Her flashlight illuminated a child's doll, its face cracked and its eyes unnervingly lifelike. As she filmed, a cold breeze brushed past her, making the hairs on her neck stand on end. "Who's there?" she demanded, spinning around. The doll's head turned. Tessa screamed, stumbling backward and nearly dropping her camera. The doll stared at her, its cracked lips parting as if to speak. Then, the attic hatch slammed shut, plunging her into darkness. Panic set in as Tessa fumbled with the flashlight. The whispers returned, louder now, circling her like a swarm. Her camera captured fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures darting between the trunks. "You shouldn't have come," a voice whispered, distinct and chilling. "Who are you?" Tessa yelled, her voice shaking. The shadows coalesced into a form, a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by a veil of black hair. She pointed a bony finger at Tessa, her mouth stretching into an unnatural smile. "Leave," the figure hissed. Tessa scrambled for the ladder, but when she looked down, the floor was gone. Below her was a swirling void, filled with the anguished faces of the trapped. She clung to the edge of the attic, her knuckles white. Please, she begged. The woman stepped closer, her veil lifting to reveal hollow eyes that bled darkness. The house won't let you go, she said. Suddenly, the room filled with blinding light. Tessa felt a hand grab hers and yank her upward. She blinked, disoriented, to find herself outside the house, lying on the forest floor. She turned to see an old man standing over her, his face weathered but kind. "You're lucky I was nearby," he said. "The Hollow House doesn't like visitors." Tessa stammered a thank you, her voice hoarse. She looked back at the house, now shrouded in mist, its windows glowing faintly. "What is that place?" she asked. The man sighed, his eyes heavy with sorrow. "It's a trap," he said. "A prison for restless souls. They lure people in to take their place." Tessa shivered, realizing how close she'd come to becoming one of them. Back at home, Tessa reviewed her footage. Most of it was distorted, the audio filled with static. But in one frame, she froze, a fleeting image of herself in the attic, her eyes black and her mouth twisted into the same smile as the woman in the veil. The footage ended abruptly, her camera shutting off. Tessa never uploaded the video. She quit her channel and moved far away, leaving Cedar Hollow and its haunted woods behind. But sometimes, late at night, she would wake to whispers in the darkness and the faint smell of mildew. The Hollow House hadn't forgotten her.